You're watching Leicester Till I Die TV with Chris, Craig, Scott, Brad and Mark. Leicester Till I Die, now available on Spotify.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
There we go. It was all going so well again for a minute there. It almost looked professional. Good evening. It's Tuesday. It's 7:30. Hello, fellow Fox fans. How are we doing? It's Tuesday night. It's the preview show, and that means we've got a match coming up at the weekend. It's a little matter of this. So, how are we feeling? It's another nearly bottom of the table game for us. Brighton, 4th versus 16th. We got back to winning ways last weekend, but my God, it was by the skin of the teeth, wasn't it? Absolutely. I love the performance, but, you know, that man Vardy got us out of jail. Anyway, you are watching...
Leicester Till I Die TV with Chris and Chums. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Pinterest. All you need for everything Leicester City FC. It's Leicester Till I Die TV. Leicester Till I Die, now available on Spotify.
We're available everywhere. And if you are watching live, you've got a choice. You can watch us on YouTube, Leicester Till I Die TV. If you are doing, please give that little subscribe button a click and join us. And also, obviously, the notification bell as well. We're on Periscope, Twitter, which is at Leicester TID, and Facebook, which is obviously the Leicester Till I Die group. And if you are on that, then please just click the StreamYard link and it will bring your name up. It just makes it a bit easier for us. And welcome and good evening to those of you that are joining us later on Catch Up, who might be listening to us on podcast rather than watching us, and I don't blame you for that at all. There you see us, Leicester Till I Die, on Google, on Apple iTunes, on Spotify and on Anchor. But it is Tuesday, as I have said, and it is the preview show, and that can only mean one thing. It's chat chum Craig, who's going to be joining us tonight, and we'll bring him in and say good evening, Craig.
Good evening, Chris. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all doing well.
How are you, sir? Happier?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was a tough watch, wasn't it? And I think, but we got the result at the end. I think every time there's a corner or a set piece, I'm not sure whether it's our back four, back five, or everyone watching whose legs turn to jelly. But I think we all do at the minute. We just we need to get that sorted. But anyway, we got the win. We're top four, and we're still, you know, hopefully on Thursday night we'll get a big win in Europe, and everything in the garden is rosy as long as you only look at the results.
Exactly, and like you say, that one sort of 3 minutes of injury time can make your whole weekend feel a hell of a lot better. The funny thing was, though, it was an absolutely better performance, and we're going to talk about individual performances later when we go on who might be starting this weekend. But we played really, really well. I mean, bar the post, we could have have won that 3 or 4. One, but it wasn't to be. But
I think it was definitely an improvement. Some people stepped up, took their opportunities. I think we do have to take into consideration who we were playing. Who, I think they've lost a little bit of an edge. Sheffield United, they were fresh faced last year. They had everything was going for them from the off, really. So they sort of had that wave of enthusiasm that carried them through. The fans were there behind them, and I think because they've had such a tough start, no fans to sort of get behind them and carry them a little bit. I think they're finding it tougher, but you can only beat what was in front of you. We made it difficult at times, but we did get the job done.
Sheffield United, I was talking to the fan from Sheffield United, and they sound very much sort of like us, and I think we probably are actually. And I don't know if it's yourself that mentioned particularly Madison. Without the crowd, it's not the same. I think certain teams do miss the crowd, and I think they're one of them. We're one of them. It's all about the second season, staying up that first season, like you say. You're fresh, you come up, and people don't really know you. The second season can be a lot harder. It wasn't for us, of course, but
yeah, I mean, some teams do really well. Others, as you say, like ourselves, go on and surprise everyone around the world. But it's tougher. It's tougher because, as I say, every team gets better every season. There's more money sloshing around. It's whether you've either got the manager and an ethos of the way you play that can attract players, or players actually want to come to you because of the stature of the club. Unfortunately, I don't think Sheffield fit into either of those at the minute. So they probably struggle a little bit more there than others to get in quality. And in this day and age, you do have to balance the books as well. You can't sort of speculate too much in case you do go back down. And then, we've seen it can be a long road back for some clubs. Derby.
Well, of course.
So
I nearly missed that then. I nearly missed that. Can I just say that if I start to sort of go like that, it's because I've got a new chair, a new bar stool that I'm sat on, and it's a little bit looser than I thought it was. I could be doing my Strictly Dancing later. But the big question...
I thought you were going all Zoolander on us, Chris, and trying different poses.
No, just this, and this is Coke. I'm not drunk, before you say anything. Big question of the week though, and the most important question is: do you have Amazon? Because the game is live at 7:15 on Sunday. I hate these 7:15 Sunday night kickoffs. I always miss Antiques Roadshow, but it's on Amazon Prime. I don't know about. I've actually just. Because with that one, and I think the Wednesday game against Everton is also on Amazon Prime, and I'd got an invitation, I don't know if anybody else has, for a month's free trial. Oh, right.
Okay, well, that's worth picking it up just for that, seeing as you get our 2 games. Although,
exactly.
Looking at our back 4 in recent weeks, Chris, I think Antiques Roadshow fits pretty well. So, you get the best of both worlds.
This is very true. As long as it's not one man and his dog, I'll be okay. But yeah, I mean, I remember because last year, obviously, all the Boxing Day matches, every single one, I think, was on Amazon, wasn't it? And a lot of people took up the free 1 month's trial, so that might happen again. So if anybody out there hasn't got Amazon and they're thinking of having a 1 month trial with Amazon Prime, now is the time to do it. But let's get back. As it is Brighton and Hove Albion on Saturday. It's home for us, so it's no fans. And looking at our record, we've played them 35 times since since we've both been going. 15 wins for us, 7 draws, and 13 losses. So it's actually quite close.
You know what? I was shocked when I was looking back and doing a bit of research, which obviously shows every week.
Of course.
The fact that we only played them in the league for the first time in 1978,
Yes.
which was astonishing to me. You know, that's well within my lifetime. Usually you have to go back. You know, we played them in the 20s or 30s, but
Yeah.
1978, the first time we met in the league. So, you know, that number of league games there, 35, is pretty low, really. So
it is one of the lowest. I think it's the lowest I've come across. But I think if you look back on our history, we started out quite a while ago when there was only probably 2 divisions, and as it expanded, obviously up until the Ian Holloway, my turn to cough, we hadn't been out the top 2 divisions, and I think something like Brighton hadn't been in the top 2. So I think that's that's the case there. Looking back at last season, we got a 2-0 win over them in November. Don't know if you remember that game. I struggle these days to remember what I have for breakfast. June, and I think that just falls into the post-COVID lull that we had, you know, and we started to fall off. We got a 0-0.
That was probably one of our better results, to be honest, after after we came back.
It probably was. It probably was. You know, I'm just going to bring this. Brad, I know Brad's made a point earlier, and we will come back to that later, Brad. But Robbie Gamble here. People criticise Madden's corners. But how many did we create from when he was injured for 6 or 7 games? We don't score from corners, but we regularly concede for them. I think we actually hold the record for both in the Premier League this season. As well as Mendy has filled in, that's why I would prefer Ndidi. Offers more aerial, both in attack and defence. Robbie Gamble, good evening, Robbie. Thanks for joining us. I don't know about, I mean, as you say, we're of a similar age here. We've sort of established that over the last few weeks. But I can remember, I think it was under Martin O'Neill, we were the set piece kings.
Yeah, I mean, we always had big players, and we, you know, Walshy, Taggart, Matt Elliott. You know, we had a presence, and I think that's it. Even if you're not tall, you can have a presence, and we lack any kind of presence, any kind of physicality. I mean, we've heard how much Fofana's got a great leap on him, but it doesn't matter if you're not in contact. You know, we've gone down this zonal marking route. But if you zonal mark, you have to attack the ball as if you're an attacker. You know, you can't wait for it to come into your zone and then deal with it, because players have got to run on you. You have to do that. You have to attack the ball as if you're attacking at an opposition corner. And, you know, I noticed it last night. I think it was Brighton. So it'll be interesting if they do it against us. They zonal marked, but they zonal marked in 2 banks of 4. So they had 4 in front of the keeper. Then there was a gap, and then they had another 4 who were trying to block. So they had blockers to try and stop people getting onto the real back 4. So that was an interesting thing. However, you know, Vestergaard at 6'7" or whatever managed to find a space and score past them. But it's a problem, and I do wonder what Kolo Touré brings to this team. I've got to say that, because my understanding is he's there as a defensive coordinator. So, you know, at some point we've got to get a grips with being able to defend. Now, if one thing isn't working, you usually try something else, but it just seems that we're quite happy to just make the same mistakes over and over, which, you know, in any walk of life, you know, it's just foolish to keep repeating the same mistakes.
Do we lack a leader in that defence? I mean, we're not playing a back 4 at the moment, probably because we haven't got 4 fit defenders that can play 90 minutes. But, you know, we haven't, like you say, we haven't got a Walsh, we haven't got a Taggart. We've got some very gifted players, but none of them are of that ilk, are they?
I had a conversation at work today, and I think we lack leaders all over the pitch. I don't think anybody points a finger at anymore. Schmeichel is very vocal, but he's vocal across the board, shall we say? He doesn't pick someone out and sort of give them a good old mouthful like Jerry Taggart do. We've talked about that before when he cuffed Robbie Savage around the ear during a game. But you look through the whole team, we haven't got anybody who will take another player by the scruff of the neck and actually, tell them to get in and get tight to people. We lack leadership, and that means that when we're up against a team such as a Liverpool, other teams who are aggressive, we're found wanting, and we need to find a solution to that.
Well, we're just going to have a look at some chats, but we'll just have a 2 seconds, and we're just going to have a little, very, very quick break, and then we'll come back and have a look at some of the comments that are coming in.
You're watching Leicester Till I Die TV with Chris, Craig, Scott, Brad, and Mark.
Yeah, and Andy said here, why no defense? We don't have defenders on the post nowadays.
That's a real bugbear of mine. I don't know when that stopped being a thing. It always used to be. And if you look, I'm sure someone somewhere has probably done some research. Maybe, Andy, you need a new hobby in the new year, and that can be yours. But to look at how many goals actually go in within 2 feet of the post, whether it's from corners or free kicks, there must be so many. And even, the goal we conceded the other night against Sheffield United was near the post, and Brighton was there, but I don't know what he was doing. Whether he was,
I think he went through his legs, didn't it? I think he went down.
Yeah, he just drew away, and it's that thing again about losing concentration. You taught as a kid, even us, Chris. We can remember being kids. I think, and one of the first things was you don't ball watch. Constantly be looking around what's going on around you, where your man is. And this day and age, levels of concentration seem to go. And whether that is as a result of no fans as well, because you haven't got fans on your back, you haven't got fans shouting when somebody might be behind a player or whatever. I don't know, but there does seem to be a lack of concentration and a lack of aggression in our team at the minute.
Yeah. Brad said here, I did bring this up before, but hello, Brad. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Fofana might have a leap, but he can't head on target for love nor money. He missed the one very madly, but at the end of the day, I mean, he's not bothered in his position about heading on target. He just wants to head it out the box area. Somebody here's just said, don't know who it is, Facebook user again. Stick your name at the end or click on the link. We're stronger with 4 at the back. Soyuncu is a big miss. A few players, I think, are a big miss there. We lack height as a squad. We probably do. I wouldn't sort of argue on that. And your mother's typed in here. Spot on, Craig. Great assessment. Oh, it's probably savage, but your mother. I think Dennis Pratt should start every game. Yeah, he's having some good games, and I think there's an argument for sort of having him in there. But I'm going to go back to these corners and free kicks and not getting it past the first man, and that is such a bugbear that if we, it's the simplest thing. And I was never good at corners, and I never took them. But why is it? If Maddison is that bad at it, why isn't somebody there in the club going like, oh, it's not working with Madders? We need to get somebody in because. When he first came here, and maybe he's starting to believe his own hype, or maybe he's just off form. His free kicks were amazing. I remember, like I said, mentioned the other week that one against Southampton in the 9-0. I knew where he was going to go with it, and he put it in the hole. We need to do something with that, don't we?
Definitely, and again, whether it's a symptom, again, of us not being tough enough as a group to sort of say, get off the corner. Has anybody on that pitch got the bottle to tell Maddison, oi, you know very well that in teams of old, not just ours, let's say if let's go back to one of the best teams of fairly recent years in Man United when they had that great team. If Ryan Giggs was putting in half a dozen corners that didn't get past the first man, damn well that Roy Keane would have been on him and got him off those corners. We haven't got those characters yet in the team at the minute. Now, for whatever reason, we don't seem to have the characters on the sideline. Maybe Brendan's standing there writing in his notebook, really must take Maddison off corners. I don't know. But it's not happening.
I told you, it's a colouring book. It's not a notebook. It's a colouring book.
But again, from a defensive point of view.
Sorry, just to go back on your point there, Craig, is, you said, has anybody got the bottle to tell Madders to stop taking them? Surely either Toure or Rodgers, they should have the bottle to do it. They should be telling, or get him down, get him back after the end of training, half an hour practicing them.
See, we don't know. We don't. Maybe Madders is a sulker. I don't know, and he'll go into a shell. But these are modern footballers who should have a bit of backbone and should know themselves if it's not working. What I was going to go on to say is, from a defender's point of view, you love it if you know that it's the same person taking the same corner every time. You know what's coming. If he gets a good one, it doesn't matter because we're in a shape. I've always wondered why you don't have 2, 3, 4 different players to take corners, an in swinger, an out swinger. Mix it up a bit. You want defenders to be unsure as to what kind of delivery is coming. At the minute, everyone is an out swinger, and if we're lucky, it gets past the first defender.
And shouldn't we have a different player taking corners on the left to taking them on the right?
Exactly. Exactly. But, and you mix it up. Madders can take an in swinger from the left-hand side. Someone else will take an out swinger. Just mix it up. But as I say, I'll come back to it. I mentioned something last week. I don't know whether it's connected with the fact that we have very little time on the practice field at the minute, on the training ground. We're travelling in Europe every week. We have a game at the weekend. Now, it may be that set pieces, are not are the thing that had to be cut, that we're not working on. I'm sure in previous seasons we've had some quite clever free kick corner routines.
In reply to that, so have Tottenham, so have Man United. And I don't particularly know if their corners are particularly bad. It's obviously not doing Tottenham any harm. If the manager has got the balls and we haven't got enough time in the normal training day, and we know they don't go in and train 9 till 5, they don't do a day like we do, then they should be back. Beckham, how did he used to practice all the time? I mean, somebody's just said here, Ferguson would have pulled him off. Well, very nice. He demanded from his players. Has Rodgers got to demand more? Yes, I think he has. Andy Meadows gets Steve Cuppy down on the training ground. Well, we all know what he could do with his left boot, and it was very, very sweet. Brad Perkins, and I hope I'm going to read this right, bring back Big Wazza and just let him stare at the players and mess up. They were the lead then. Just get him back now and get him cage fighting with a few of them. That would be the, Can you imagine that? Like if you don't get that corner in, you're going to be in the cage with Big Wazza, But with a corner, if you can get it in that box and it gets into that thing, when we do manage it, the goalkeeper comes and gets it. But if it's not, say, at least let's get it past that first man.
No, I think it's a fair point that you made, Chris, about other teams not being affected by the travel and lack of training ground. I mean, at the end of it, we're not asking for more than missing the first man. We're not necessarily asking for anything sort of clever. But I wonder whether part of it is the fact that we don't have any commanding presence there. There's not really someone to hit, and he's almost just trying to put a ball in a box, and therefore his concentration slips. I know I'm almost being kind here and giving him excuses. I'm sure he doesn't need any, but at some point either he's got to improve it or someone else has to take him off the corners and take control.
I mean, the 94th minute and broken goalpost did paper over the cracks of the fact that we were unlucky. We hit the post, but that's not the point. You know, we were fourth, they were bottom. You can have all the possession. We won the league with the, you know, having the least possession, I think, of the 20 teams in that division. You know, if we're just not, you know, getting that killer instinct, and these things do need to be practiced on. It'd be interesting to see, because obviously this week is the last Europa game for a month or so. So it'll be interesting to see sort of if that changes. Why does Rodgers want a small squad when he doesn't have all the jigsaw pieces to complete the picture? Don't get me wrong, we have signed quality, another striker, another Mahrez replacement. I think we've got a Mahrez replacement in under, and it was a surprise to me. And I've had many a talk on here and also off here with our fellow presenter Mark, who is unimpressed by under. I was very impressed by him in the last game, and I think, you know, I don't know what he's got to do to start a game in the Premier League.
I think we're suffering from not having our first choice fullbacks, if I'm honest, because I think if we had our first choice fullbacks, I think he would go back to a back four, and it would give us that extra player. You know, maybe now indeed we've got a little bit more height with him. We've got a little bit more protection than Mendy, who's been, you know, done a great job, but is running out of steam. Maybe he can switch to it, but I don't think until he's got Ricardo and Castagna and their athleticism and their ability to recover, do recovery runs, that he'll stick with this three, and therefore it makes it difficult then to play with two wingers, because you do leave yourself exposed. So I think I think when those fullbacks are back, I think we'll see a change in formation, and hopefully, you know, if we've got through this tricky period with all the European games, all the European travel, with all the injuries we've had, and we're in a healthy position in the top six, and we've got through in Europe, then I think if you take that little third of a season, as it were, then it's a successful season. Yeah, we'd love it to be better, but at the end of it, we've seen in the past teams who have gone into the Europa League and struggled, and it's affected their league form. The fact is, we are fourth, you know, and comfortably in the top six all season. So, you know, I think sometimes we take a little step back, and it's about we've heightened expectations, and I think that's the thing. And you've touched on that before,
that
Chris,
is definitely the thing. And I think 2 points there. I think there's only really Wolves that have kicked that Europa League hoodoo and still having a good season when they're in it. You know, Burnley went from 10th or 7th or whatever they finished the previous year to bottom half. I mean, I say Wolves were the one. My worry, I'm saying this as much as you, is, you know, it's that hindsight. You know, fourth. You know, if you're giving me fourth now, at the start of the season, would I have taken it? Yes, of course I bloody would. But, you know, we keep saying when we get the players back, when we get this back, when we get Costa, if these players come back and we don't improve, the old proverbial brown stuff could well hit the fan. But
it could, and I've said, you know, I'm not a 100% fan of Brendan. I think he overthinks. You know, he overcomplicates it. Sometimes I wonder if the players go on the pitch having too much in their head, because you know, he's blown their brains with how much he's asking them to do. You know, they've got so many pictures in their head. You know, they're probably flicking through a playbook of some kind in their head, and their reactions are gone. You know, because he's giving them so much information. At the end of it, football's a simple game. Get the ball, pass the ball, move. You know, we do overcomplicate it, and Brendan seems to like doing that.
He does.
You know, when we get everyone back, he's going to have to stand or fall, and we'll see, and hopefully he'll stand.
You said the big thing there, expectations, because we're having this conversation, and let's be honest with you, 5-6 years ago, we would have done, you know, if you said where we are now, we would have bitten your head off. You know, said like, oh yeah, we've got a 20 million player who's injured, another one who can't get in the team, and we're in the Europa League, we're fourth. You know, our expectations probably have grown too much, if anything, really.
And it's difficult, you know. I understand that. You know, like you, we've seen all the bad times, but you do.
Yeah.
I think it's not so much an expectation. It's an expectation of, you know, how well this team can play. You know, if this team was average all the time, you'd take average and you'd say, right, it's great where we are. The fact is that we have some really good players, and on their day, this team can take apart any team. It's that level of consistency, and I think that probably that is the thing more than anything. It's the consistency individually and as a team that we.
I agree with you totally. There is the fact that we know what this team can do when we've, you know, it's all together, and you know, we I keep going back to it, but we see things like Southampton happening, you know, so we know what's there. But you know, you've also got 4 or 5 other teams that are saying the same thing, that when we've got our best team out, when, you know, when we won the league, as great as it was, a lot of those top teams didn't turn up to the party, you know, and as you know, they threw it away almost as much as we won it. So as good as we know that our first team can be, we've also got to accept that other clubs are in that same boat. But let's just take it. We're gonna have a look at some comments again. There's some comments piling up. So just another quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll have a look at what people.
You are watching Leicester Till I Die TV with Chris and Chumps. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. All you need for everything Leicester City FC. It's Leicester Till I Die TV. Now available on Spotify.
Right, so Andy Medhurst here. Mathers is good at short corners. Well, we're all good at short corners. You know, the ball's there, and I kick it a couple of yards to a player that's near me. I'm not sure what you're getting at there, Andy. Maybe explain it a little bit further. But it's.
I think he means all his corners are short.
Oh, in that case, Andy, I 100% agree with you. You know, and he's then gone on to add, I think certain players will be picked no matter how they play. I think that's been a case of the fact that we've had to, because of the players that haven't been available to be picked, to be honest with you. And then again, Nacho needs to go in January. I just worry that we're saying Nacho's got to go, and Perez possibly, and we're going to have a special coming up. I know in a week or so's time. We've discussed looking at ahead to the January transfer window, who may go, who may come. If we could be careful that we actually have somebody that, if Vardy's injured, that we can bring in. So you know, you're letting these players go, but we've got to make sure we've got somebody coming in. So frustrating to us to see passing sideways and backwards when we are goals down. Sometimes Rodgers makes late subs a little stubborn at times. I think stubborn and Rodgers goes together. But I mentioned the other day, I can remember sort of Liverpool under the great, you know, players like Shankly and what have you. They would play 60, you know, not 60, but they played 20, 22 passes, just keeping possession, waiting for that moment to become available. But we've been sort of, you know, almost indoctrinated, because I know I do, look at the title-winning side and go, that's how we won the title. That's how we should be playing season upon season upon season. Players are changing. We're bringing in a different type of player. And, the essence of a good team, and in fairness, Ferguson did this. He built a championship-winning team and then slowly dismantled it and built another one, and would play differently.
I think one of the stats that is good for us this season is goals in the last 15 minutes. And I think we are joint top of that one now with the goal that we scored against Sheffield United, which shows that, you know, in the olden days, let's say, even going back to 4 or 5 seasons before we won the league, maybe, we would have just lumped the ball forward, thrown everybody forward, hoped we won a header and something dropped to us. But we are still continuing to try and play football. We scored a last-minute goal against Sheffield United. We scored a last-minute one against Braga. And we scored that one against Braga because we kept playing football. You know, I was dying for us to put the ball in the box, but we didn't. We recycled it 2 or 3 times across the box, or Brighton puts the ball in at the end of it. It's frustrating, and I think sometimes we almost have to have to watch it with sitting on our hands or with our eyes shut or whatever, and just almost trust the process, I guess, that we have got players who will, if given a little bit of room and an opportunity, will pick a pass, just as Madders did. And I think one thing that shouldn't go amiss is that miscontrol that John Fleck did against Sheffield United was almost directly as a result of Iheanacho running straight at him and trying to press in the last minute of that game. Him and Madders both double teamed on him, pressed him. Yeah. He made the mistake and we got the goal. So, I understand everybody's criticism of Nacho, but to me that showed that he was still trying up until the final whistle for that one.
I think the problem is it's moments like that you look at Nacho and he's a striker, and you look at his goals and whoever, and if we get rid of Nacho and bring somebody else in, it's always going to be that compare them to Vardy. Vardy is God to us. And, I don't know, somebody said here the Premiership is now built on pace, hence Vardy being a phenomenon. I mean, he is, but we have got to get past the fact that Vardy was Vardy and Beckham was Beckham and, Keegan was Keegan. And sometimes, any striker that, if we bring in, Lorenzki or whatever he's called from, Bayern Munich, he'll play in a different style to Vardy and people would probably criticise him. But I'm going to play devil's advocate on a comment you've made, because I make it as well. And I've said it many, many times. And sometimes it takes the sensibility of youth to make you sort of see sense. And I always said, like, yes, we're 1-0 down or 1-1, whatever, and it's in the 85th minute, and we're still passing left to right at the back. But I then made the point at the other show the other night about the Liverpool comparison. And as soon as you put the ball, let's hit it up to the box. I'm shouting that out as much as other people. The goalkeeper grabs the ball.
Yeah.
He hugs it. In the last 5 minutes, even if he doesn't need to, even if it's hit at his chest, he's going to grab it. He's going to fall to the floor, and he's going to waste a couple of seconds, and they've got possession back. So it's almost like they can't win. But I must really, in fact, Brad's just said here, the squad that's featured the majority of the season so far, I think any fan would take a top 7 finish. The fact we're still 4 or 5 short from our strongest 11 and we're in the top 4 still is a testament to the squad in general. So he's done War and Peace here. But sorry, Brad, but when they return, we have to keep our heads with our expectations. Pretty much what I said earlier, we're going to expect when everybody comes back that, hey, but a couple of things I'm going to ask you now, Craig. Yep. I can remember when we lost the Liverpool game, and I have mentioned this before a couple of times. Somebody commented, "It's okay, lads. We've got an easy run coming up now." Well, it wasn't easy against Fulham. We scraped through against, as good as we played, we still just scraped through against Sheffield United. You're looking there, and I'm about to bring that wrong one in because my hand slipped. We're sat there in 4th. They are 16th, but it's not going to be easy, is it?
It's not, and I've seen Brighton a few times this season, and for me, the fact that they're in 16th shows the strength of the division this year, because they've played some really good football and they've been in every game. I don't think I've seen them dismantled at all. He's got them playing some good football. I think if they're probably 2 or 3 players short, a really top class striker, because they make a lot of chances. They play some good football. He's strengthened them up at the back. Lamptey's a fantastic fullback, or he's playing more almost like a wing back now, so he's getting him further up the pitch. The fact that they're languishing, shall we say, in 16th, shouldn't make any of us think that this is going to be an easy game. I mean, they should have had a point last night. I mean, again, VAR just. I'm surprised I've got any hair left with what VAR did last night. I think it's absolutely shocking, and I ended up having quite a discussion with Scott about how can fans mobilise themselves to just say no more. But that's another discussion, VAR. But
It is. Remember how we complained before we had it. I think we need VAR, but for me, we need it, but we don't need it in its present form. For that. But like you say, that's another discussion and one that we'd still be here at midnight over. We're going to come up in a second, Craig, and you're going to put Brendan's shoes on again if you've not given them back yet, and have a look at who might start. And I know it's always awkward at the moment because we have got the Braga game before then, but we're going to have a look at that. But I've got to ask you about this guy.
Yeah.
Periscope, does he start? Can I just say, I was geeked when I did that. I was so proud of my little self when I came up with that saying.
Yeah, if you want to pop that up again, Chris, just have another couple of seconds of pleasure. There we go. Let's all just take a moment and enjoy that.
Can I just say, a couple of seconds of pleasure has been the story of my life, really. But it wasn't the Periscope that went up. But I know you were impressed with him. You were impressed with him the other day.
Well, I took a lot of stick earlier in the season because I was a big fan of Perez, and I just thought we didn't get the best out of him. I think he's one of our most intelligent players. He picks up some really, really good positions. The fact that I think he played in, I'm not sure if he played in both Vardy and Maddison for their attempts that hit the post. But his little link-up play, just playing in behind Vardy, I thought was excellent. Earlier in the season, I was a big fan of his again. And as I say, I know I was getting a lot of stick. He did go off the boil a little bit, whether that's frustration at the fact that, he takes up great positions, he doesn't get the ball. I think one of his strengths, and I won't take credit for this because somebody else mentioned this, was the fact that one of his strengths, and the reason that Brendan bought him, I think, was the fact that he had the highest rate of tackles in the opposition last third, because he's closing down. Now, what we've done, we've gone into almost fallen back now that we defend so deep that isn't part of his game anymore. So he looks a little bit lost. But when we play on the front foot, we spend more time in the opposing third. He comes into his own. He tackles, he closes down, and he picks up these great positions. And I don't think you can honestly leave him out of the team against Brighton based on his performance at the weekend.
Yeah, and I made the point of the day, and I think it might have been the Athletic that did it, saying about the confusion in why Newcastle fans being confused as to why Perez wasn't good, and it quoted what Roger said at the time, exactly what you said there, Craig. Totally 100% with you. Is that it was for his pressing. He was almost the first line of defence because Rodgers, he said he likes to play a pressing game. Now, whether you could argue that the players that we've had to play don't allow him to do that, but I don't, apart from the odd game, I wouldn't say we've had many games where we have been a pressing team. But but I like Perez, and I thought, like you say, he's probably suffering because maybe Madders and Pratt, can fill into that role where he would normally be. I was surprised that he didn't come on at all against against Zoya. And don't start me on that, because we'll start on the why did we only use 4 out of the 5 substitutes when we're losing. That was a particular annoyance of mine. But we did. We had a substitute left. He can get goals. We saw that, and he was still sat on the bench. But yeah, I thought I would like to see him start. I must admit, maybe even see him on corners.
Okay.
You never.
Well, there's nothing else he can do at the corner. So with his height, so
Perez needs to be consistent. He's not. Newcastle fans said the same. I would agree with that if we could have seen the fact of giving him a chance to be consistent. But when you've been in and out like he has been, and I still go back, and I know we say it all the time, when he was playing regularly, it wasn't in that position that he played against Sheffield United on. We know. Let's see if he gets a run of games in that position. If he can be, if he can play in that.
Yeah, I mean, my argument there would be, who has been consistent this year?
Yeah,
I think James Justin, I think, has been fantastic. The number of positions that he's had to fill in, I think he's been really, really consistent. He's still a young player, so he's still learning. So he will make the odd mistake, but I think he's been fantastic. Vardy, when given chances, has been great. Apart from that, has Maddison been consistent as of any of them?
The only one that I could say probably has been, and I think he is a bit of an unsung hero. And when he gets criticised this season, I think it's been unjust, and that's Mendy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mendy's been great. As I say, I think the last couple of weeks he's just running out of steam a little bit because he's not played this many games, since he's been with us. Then all of a sudden you're having to play game after game, 2 days rest. I think it's just finding its way, and indeed he coming back is probably perfect timing for us.
I think Brad very much made this point the other day. None of these players would have expected to have been playing this much, because we would, in an ideal world. I mean, all right, we knew Pereira was out because he was already injured, but we didn't expect to have this many injuries. So a lot of these players could be moved about, and we can, swap and change for midweek and Europa games, etc. And even though next week we haven't got a Europa game, we've still got a midweek game, with Everton. There's a lot of games, and when these players started off so well when they were brought in, maybe it's just getting to them a little bit.
I think it is, and I'm surprised that whatever you think of the likes of Damari Gray, of the likes of Slimani, these are squad players who can do a job in a game, not just necessarily on the pitch, but also giving other players a rest, even if it's for 20 minutes, when a game's going a certain way. So I am surprised that they're not being utilised a little bit more. He talks about having a tight squad, but, these players are in the squad. They're around, they're training with them all the time. So I am surprised, and Brendan does confuse me on many an occasion. If you play Brighton as a wing back, then surely the only thing he can do pretty well going forward, because he doesn't have the pace, is to whip a ball in. But to who? At least have Slimani on the bench. As I say, Brendan knows a hell of a lot more than me, so I have to, bow down to him. But
then he made the big thing about Slimani having another chance. That chance was equating to about 15 minutes, and not seeing height and hair of him. No,
and he also gives you a presence at corners. We talk about this issue with corners. He's probably the best header of a ball we've got at the club. The rest of the team can't head a ball for love the money. So I don't know. Sometimes I am. My flabber is well and truly gasted, Chris.
Aren't they all? It's a sign of old age, mate. A sign of old age. But no, I agree with you totally. And I mean, I know Damari Gray is a very divisive figure. A bit of a Marmite figure, but he at least he runs at the defenders. Yes, he might not have an end product. Schlupp, we know Schlupp's favourite place to aim for when he was shooting was Rose ZZ. If Gray has got that ball and wants to go forward, and as we might under the other night, he was the only one that was probably at times was making those runs forward. And if Gray's going to do that, you don't know what's going to happen. He may get pulled down. He may get tripped. We get the free kick or penalty inside the box. Integrating back in, especially as you say, when you look at some of those players that sometimes look dead on the feet.
Yeah, I mean, if you're entering into the last 20 minutes of a game and then you bring pace on, the opposition have to take a step backwards.
Yeah.
Take a step backwards, it means you make more space for the likes of Maddison, for the likes of Tielemans. So it's all about, not necessarily what the individual can do, it's what he forces the opposition to do as well. So as I say, you bring on pace, they have to step back and allow our more creative players more time on the ball. So even from that point of view, it's worth having that on the bench. When you look across at the bench and you know that it's just full of sort of the same sort of players are like for like, it doesn't give the opposition anything to think about because you're just replacing like for like. I think he's got to be a bit cuter.
I mean, somebody here has said Slimani obviously doesn't want to be at the club. He's made that very clear. He has no pace and doesn't fit into our system. We do not have 40 crosses. No, we don't, whoever said that. But the fact of the matter at the end of the day is we are paying his wages, whether he wants to be here or not. And if he wants a move, because there is something with him when he's going to and he's played well at Monaco, but they didn't want to buy him. Trebonza, was it that he went to, or Fenerbahce didn't want to buy him. There's something there, but like you say, when we are getting corners, at least he's the corner, he's the header king, isn't he? And whilst we've got him, let's make the most of him, But I'm going to move on because I want.
Just a quick one. When he played a couple of seasons ago, when he was playing fairly regularly, you could see he was one of those players who demanded more from the players around him. If there was a bad pass or he didn't get the ball at the right time, he wasn't one of those who would just go quietly about it. He would let them know. And we need more characters like that, like we spoke about earlier.
And, the point is as well, and Brendan sort of alluded to this, but I don't know whether he'll listen to his own words. If you're going to bring him on, then you've got to then change the way we play to suit him, because you can't take a Maddison off. You go, at the end of the game, we're throwing the bucket sink at the kitchen sink at them. You stick everybody who can play forward on. But in the real world, you're going to bring him on. Let's at least adapt to give him a chance, because at the moment he doesn't have a chance of playing because we're not playing to suit him. But we're going to ask people to start putting in their score predictions for this weekend, because we're going to come to that in a second, Craig. I haven't got the guys yet because I've been lazy these couple of days and had a few personal things to do, so I haven't got the guys' score predictions. But we're going to look. We're going to look at where are we here? Your team, who you might pick if you were Brendan. But first of all, would this guy get in?
Well, I'm with the Leicester City defender Christian Fuchs ahead of the new season. You've signed a contract extension to keep you at Leicester. What was the thinking behind that?
I'm old, not obsolete.
Bless him. You got to love a little bit of Arnie and Christian, haven't you?
Yeah.
So obviously, again, we might be tied down to who we've got available. I'm not saying that's your choice. That's just the graphic there. What are you going for this weekend? I know I say it's hard with us having a game.
I do want to say, contrary to popular belief, I do love Christian Fuchs.
You've got to. You can't not love him, can you?
I love him, and because I love him, and I've got his best welfare at heart, I'm giving him a rest this week.
Right.
So
that sounds like Brendan Rodgers telling somebody they've not made the team.
Yeah, exactly. I love you. I love you, Christian, but I think you just need a rest.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit surprising this week what I'm going to go for, but until we get those two fullbacks, I think that we're going to stick with the three. But I'm giving Christian a rest. So obviously Casper in goal. The back three, I'm going to have little Wesley Fofana on the right. Yeah. I'm going to have I'm going to move Evans to the left, and I'm going to bring back Captain Morgan.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I know that may be a little controversial, but I just think in both boxes we need a little bit more aggression. We need a bit more physicality, and we need someone who will talk a little bit more and get us up the pitch quicker. When we defend, we don't get out of the box, we don't clear the box quick enough, which means we've still, even if the ball breaks, we've got 70 yards to go. So while we're playing a 3, I'm going to put Wes back in there. Wing backs, James Justin on the right, and I think we should be playing Luke Thomas in the left-hand side. Main reason for that over Fuchs is because of Lamptey. Lamptey's got tremendous pace, and I think we need that pace as well. And, Luke Thomas, at some point, we need to give him a run of games. This is a perfect opportunity for him to get 2 or 3 games under his belt. So even when we do go back to a back 4 and Timothy and Ricardo are back, that he's got that experience he can fill in if needed. But so James Justin and Thomas as wing backs. In front of the back 3, Wilf, I think Ndidi should come back in there. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to play a sort of bit of a mix of a 3 in front. So Maddison, Perez and Tielemans. 3 creative players who can sort of interchange, and Perez can support Vardy, who up top. Now,
you're not going for
that
Nacho?
Means Pratt. I'm not going for Nacho. Means Pratt's not missing out. Under's missing out. Harvey Barnes is missing out.
Yeah.
But I just think, while we're playing this 3, then that's the best option that we've got in terms of having a creative 4.
I think that's the problem you've got is it's when you're picking players, it's who you, like you say, am I really leaving Barnes out? Am I really leaving Pratt out? Somebody says their Fuchs are getting targeted for pace and lack of game time. I think it's half right there. I think, yes, his lack of pace. That's why I don't think, for me, I would never play him as a wing back now because his legs are starting to give way, but he's still got a role to play in that back 3, especially with, the likes of Fofana, who's that little bit younger. Lack of game time, I think he's played every game going. He's played more games, this in 10 weeks than he's played in 2 seasons up to now. But there we go.
I think the team. Yeah, I think the team I've picked there is also with a mind that if we need to, in that last 20, 25 minutes, we can take one of those back 3 off, and we've got Under and we've got Barnes to come on to change the dynamic of that up front as well.
Like you say, they've got the pace that Perez and Tielemans, they haven't. They're not those quick burst, sort of players, if you like. I know I'm not probably using the right words there, but yeah, if their back line's tired, we seem to be playing that way, like heavyweight boxers. We're letting the opposition wear themselves out on us, and then to bring on players like that in the last 20 minutes. It's got to scare them. Brad said here, Brendan out, in Craig we trust.
Thanks, Brad.
Yes, I just what was I going to say? If go get sacked and just retire on the money if you get paid from that,
You all be part of my backroom staff, guys.
Oh God, you're desperate, But right, okay. So let's just bring a couple of. I mean, I was just looking there because I hadn't actually done my predictions, like I say, and Walshy, Marshy, and Steve Lynix haven't asked for theirs yet. I've actually plumped for a 2-1 because I can always see us conceding. I really can, but I don't think we are playing the sort of game that will bring us lots of goals.
I know it's a tricky one. I think 2-1's a great shout, but I really don't want to go for it because you're
going to go for 3-1 again, aren't you?
Well, no, I was going to go 3-2 because I could just see us conceding. So
I want some hair left at the end of the game, please.
I'm going to go for a cheeky 3-2.
3-2, right. Oh God, I've not got much hair as it is, which is why I wear a hat. I'm going to have none left if it's a 3-2, is it? Vardy in the 92nd minute taking the goal post out again.
Well, hopefully they can have the 92nd minute consolation goal when we were already 3-1 up.
Brad's gone for 3-0 Brighton. Positive, Brad. Positive. That's
Ever the optimist, wouldn't Brad?
Ever the optimist, yes. Andy Meadows agrees with me. Good man, Andy. 2-1 City, but I think we'll have to come from behind. Yeah, I can not argue with that. We seem to be doing that an awful lot on that. Carry on with your score predictions, guys. Still want to get them in, but it's that time, and I really wish I'd got a jingle for this. And if I didn't have to pay out money, because what I quoted you before was before VAT. Whenever I order, I think, oh, that's not too bad, and then I forget that they had the VAT on, which always catches me out. I would have a jingle made for this. I want to see if I can get anything done. But it is that time of the week when it is Craig's classic match. And as we said earlier, there's not actually an awful lot to choose from, having only played each other, I think it was 35 times over the years in any competitions. But did you manage to delve the archives and find a classic game against Brighton, remembering that we're going to have to do the same thing later in the season?
Well, what I'm hoping is that everybody will have forgotten that I've chosen this game, and that we play them really near the end of the season, and I can bring it out again. Because you're right. Yeah, thanks, Chris. Maybe we can look back on the game that we're going to have at the weekend, and that's going to be a classic match. Let's hope.
Yeah.
But no, it's tough. What I'm going to do is go back to the 2002-2003 season, which was an exciting season for many, many reasons. Season before, we'd been relegated, but it was also the last year at Filbert Street. So unfortunately, we were moving into our brand new stadium, the Walker Stadium, as a relegated team in the Championship. But we started that season really, really strongly. Had a couple of setbacks. I remember there was we lost 6-1 to Ipswich during that season.
We did.
Yeah, but we had a strong. It'll have a happy ending, Chris. Don't worry.
Oh yes.
So we had a great start, and then the thundercloud started rolling in, and October time of that season, I think we went into administration. So here we are in a brand new stadium. Then we go into administration. There's a consortium put together to try and rescue the club. But throughout it all, we managed to continue winning. We managed to continue playing well. Apparently, players were taking wage cuts, whatever else was happening, but it didn't let us affect us on the pitch. And it came to the day on, I think, I'll just check my date here, 19th of April, 2003, home to Brighton, 2-0 victory. Jordan Stewart, if you remember Jordan Stewart.
I do, unfortunately.
Our good old friend Muzzy Izzet gave us a 2-0 win that clinched promotion at the first attempt back to the Premier League. So that was a tough season for everyone connected with Leicester City Football Club, fans, players, everybody around. But we ended it in the best way possible with a visit of Brighton, 2-0 victory, and return to the Premier League, and everything that came with it. So that out of a not great bunch is my classic match.
Oh, I've not written it down, so you can probably get away with it and come back to it. Right, one more thing to say, and then we've got a few just something to play out on. But we'll be right back after this.
Hi, this is Chris from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy.
Now, we have a thing. If you go onto the website, LeicesterTillIDie.com/foot in both camps, it's a full, as far as we know, comprehensive list of players, managers that have been at our team and then at other Premier League teams as they stand at the moment, as literally a foot in both camps. Somebody said to me the other week because I've done a little video of a few, he said, like, but there was more than that. Yes, there is, but I haven't got time to put every single player up here. But those of us of a certain age will remember some of these players, and there's a manager or two in there possibly as well. It's certainly the good and the bad. Here we go. Well, that was the good and the bad. Welcome back. Here's the two ugly.
Thanks, Chris.
Anyway, I'm going to paint you with the same brush as me. I mean, I was surprised.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was surprised at some of those. Obviously, Claridge played for, I think he was the only player who played for all 92 clubs. But Frankie Wertho, I'm surprised at that. But obviously, one who's missing from that list in terms of management was Mickey Adams, who was Leicester manager on that game that we just talked about, and took us back to promotion. And it was his first game back, I think, because he'd come from Brighton to us. So
sometimes as well, you remember players that we have, where they've come from and where they go to. But then, like Frank Worthington being there, like, when did that happen? And and obviously Peter Taylor, I had to put him in just to make the rest of us look good. Graham Cross. Now, do you remember Graham Cross?
Wow, I do remember Graham Cross. I used to work with his daughter. He had twin daughters. Right. I used to work with one of them. Yeah.
Right. And I've got to be honest with you. Actually, if you go on and I spent ages Googling, trying to find out who done what, and other than sort of trolling through of Fossils and Foxes for ages, there was a guy who helps out in the group a lot that actually used to work for the club, and he was just reeling them off. And I went, really? He went, yes. I mean, Larry May. I mean, there was Larry another May. One for you. But great what he does as well. And of course, Leo Ujoa, I love the guy, and he was another one I think that we let go. But a guy said here, Muzzy, a legend, and we'll always remember the Grimsby goal. Did you have to put Peter Taylor up seriously? Yes, because it was the bad. You know what I mean? And we can only appreciate the good times if we remember the bad times. And I was always one, and people tend to sort of have a go at Ian Holloway. I think unfortunately with Ian Holloway, that when he came, I think if Brian Robson or Terry Venables had taken us over at that point, they couldn't have done much with that team. I think it was just on a downward spiral. But Peter Taylor took over a team that was doing well under O'Neill really, really well, and just totally, destroyed it, But I'm just surprised. He basically, yes, he did, and there's a lot of. I've never heard a good thing said about him, but you haven't seen Junior Lewis come up on any of these yet, and I think the answer to that is because he's not good enough to have appeared in another top club. But wherever Peter Taylor went, Junior Lewis went, didn't he?
He did.
Brad just there we go. Somebody else. I worked with Graham Cross' grandson, Chris. Do you, Andy? Say a hi and say he was mentioned. Say we got a shout out.
This is becoming 7 degrees of Graham Cross.
Yes, and Ian Holloway did come at a bad time. Taylor did destroy it. Again, Akinbaye. I met the guy because he went on to Burnley, and I lived in Burnley at the time, and I went to see the Leicester Burnley games. And my lads were actually the old days when you only had one mascot per team, and they did the away mascot for Leicester against Burnley, and he was a really nice guy. I spoke to him, and again, I just think it was the wrong buy for us, no pun intended. But he had passion, and at least you can forget. We all wish we had a body like him when he showed it off after he scored his one and only goal.
I will never be part of that camp that has a go at Akinbaye. For me, Peter Taylor takes all of the blame for that, for buying a 6-yard box striker and trying to turn him into a striker that he wanted to play with his back to goal. Absolutely ridiculous from Peter Taylor. Anyway, again, I could talk for too long about Peter Taylor. I'm not sure Taylor or VAR. I'm not sure which one would get me going more, but anyway.
Maybe we should have a special. Actually, we will do. Yeah. I'm going to make a note of this. We're going to have a manager special when we get all the guys in. I'm sure Brad will be up for it, and we'll go through all the managers. Well, not all of them, because we'll be here till doomsday, but the most recent managers, and have a chat about them all. But we have got that special coming up, so hopefully you are starting to do a little bit of homework and. Looking out for who we might go out and buy in the in the January window, and who, of course, the other way, who we might let go. And I think, knowing you as I've got to know you, Craig, I think there could be a few surprises in there.
There has to be surprises, doesn't there, Chris? We have to keep people on their toes.
It wouldn't be you. It wouldn't be you if there wasn't. So I've gone 2-1. You've gone 3-2. Either way, let's hope it's 3 points. Craig, as always, it's been a pleasure. I could talk for the rest of the night, but I've got some sticky toffee pudding, and custard waiting for me that my very nice neighbour brought round for me. So I'm afraid, as much as I like talking to you, I love sticky toffee pudding. You come a very bad second to that, Craig.
I can't blame you for that, Chris.
No. We all have our place in the pecking order, and I'm afraid everybody's sticky toffee pudding. Craig, as always, like I say, I could talk to you for hours. It's been a pleasure, mate. Here's the 3 points. Thanks very much. And if we don't speak to you before, I will see you next Tuesday.
Cheers, Chris, and cheers, everyone.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Craig. Craig will be back next Tuesday. And like I say, we have got that special coming up. We're going to be looking at the transfer window. It's just a case now of sort of finding the time when we can fit both of those in. So good for that. But our time is up. So I say thanks to Craig for tonight. Thank you all for coming along. Thank you for joining in. It wouldn't be the same without doing it for you. You make it a pleasure, and you make it worthwhile. I will be back. You'll if you want to, you'll have the pleasure of me twice tomorrow night. It is Wednesday tomorrow, isn't it? I'm losing it. We're going to have the European show with myself and Mark. That's going to be at 7:00. And we're going to be looking at our last group game, home to AEK Athens. Win it, we win the group. It's as simple as that. And win the group, and we get a better leg going into the next round. So let's hope we can do that. And then at 8:30 tomorrow night, and I think it will be going out live, we've got an early edition of the Opposition View, because the guy I'm going to do it with, believe it or not, called Scott, can't do it on Friday. So 7:00 tomorrow, me and Mark for the European show. We're going to be looking at AEK Athens game. And then 8:00, Scott from wearebrighton.com. And we're coming along, and we'll be looking again, having an opposition view of the game at the weekend and of us as well. If you enjoyed the show, please follow us on YouTube, Leicester Till I Die TV, and click that subscribe button and the notification as well. And as always, of course, we are also available on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and as I say, our website, leicestertillidie.com. And if you don't want to watch us, you sooner listen to us. All the favourite podcasts, including Apple iTunes, Google, and Spotify. Take care of yourselves. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'll see you tomorrow. Like I said before, don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy. See you tomorrow night, guys. Good night.
You're watching Leicester Till I Die TV with Chris, Craig, Scott, Brad, and Mark. Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye, and see you next time.
Shut up and sit down.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.